my story, like before I became Muslim, ultimately I was denying Allah. I had no belief in religion, and some of the ideas that I had would be considered as shirk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Hope you're all doing well, inshallah. Yesterday I made a really short reminder, and the title was Who is God? There was a reason why I called it Who is God, but I felt like perhaps it was a wee bit misleading. The reason I say this is, as once a non-Muslim, if I had saw such a title and I was looking into Islam, I would have clicked on it. What I asked myself yesterday was, as a revert, would I have gotten enough out of that video? I know for Muslims that might have been beneficial, but I'm always kind of trying to think about a wider audience, you know. It's one thing to learn something and create a habit, which all of us do. Muslims, reverts, even non-Muslims, in one way or another, we implement habits, etc. into our life. So naturally, when we become practicing Muslim, that's what we start to do. We start to implement habits. But as a Muslim, it's not just about creating habit, because as fast as we can create habit, just as quick we can fall out of habit. So it's also building a relationship with sincerity in those habits, understanding what those habits give us and do for us, why they're there. As Muslims, everything we do should be with Allah in mind. Everything we do should be for the sake of Allah. That's kind of what the video was reflecting yesterday, and it was a wee bit emotional, which is it's no great. It's not how I want to produce my videos, because it's not just the need I have for Islam and the need I have for Allah that helps me deal with situations, but it's also the love that I have for Allah and the appreciation and the gratitude that I have. To understand Allah, it's, you need to understand His attributes, and I speak about it a lot, but only because I feel it's totally underrated. To get a whole kind of scope of who Allah is, again, with our limited, mind and ideas, but it's almost like a puzzle piece. Each name and attribute builds up, a bigger concept of who God is, and it's amazing. It really is. So I thought I would get into things a bit deeper so you can understand what I get out of always going back to Tawheed and how it helps me in my journey as a revert. So the first two names and attributes that I got to know as a revert was Ar Rahman and Ar Rahim. Ar Rahman meaning the Most Merciful, and Ar Rahim meaning the bestower of mercy. There's actually a surah in the Quran called Ar Rahman. It's surah 55, and it is definitely a surah that caught my attention. It's a beautiful surah. Allah talks about His worldly and universal creations. But what I love about it the most is the repetition in it and the language. And a verse that He constantly repeats is, "Then which of your Lord's favours will you deny?" Now, to get an in-depth view of just how powerful this surah is, you need to go to Tafsir. Anything I say in this video is just going to scrape the surface. But looking at that ayah specifically and all the details that Allah gives us in it, tells me that, favours in English is an act of kindness. So it tells us that everything that we have, everything that we are in, the universe, the world, the nature, surroundings, everything that we are given as an individual, etc., etc., is an act of kindness. And that's what Allah's mercy is. Allah is kind and Allah is merciful. It does bring us comfort. And on an individual level, my story, like before I became Muslim, ultimately I was denying Allah. I was an agnostic, so I believed that there was a higher entity for sure, but I had no belief in religion, and some of the ideas that I had would be considered as shirk. So to know that I once denied Allah but was still led to Islam in this beautiful way of life you know, I know is proof to me by my own experience that Allah is merciful. Even with everything I have, from my senses to my provision, even to the, you know, things that I've been protected by, or things that I've been steered away from. SubhanAllah, like, you know, all of it is mercy from Allah, because I didn't do anything to deserve it. I didn't do anything to deserve it. I didn't work towards it. I did the opposite. I denounced him, and I didn't believe in him. When I used to look at the world as a non-Muslim, I used to look at, you know, situations that the world was dealing with, and I used to, in a sense, blame God and put that blame on God. It wasn't until I looked again and looked at those situations in more depth that I realised that actually those situations are man-made, and that Allah gives us what we need to thrive, but it's often us who take it and do something else with it, mislead it, corrupt it, or, you know, whatever the situation is. But yeah, I'm here. This is the stuff I used to believe and I used to say, and yeah, I'm here, subhanAllah. You know, that alone is mercy. And do you know what? This teaches me to be more merciful. This teaches me to be more kind and be more compassionate, to have empathy. I would love to hear about your experiences specifically with these two names. Sometimes we don't see and recognise them all and appreciate them all. I know that actually it's a fact that we don't appreciate Allah's mercy in the way that it deserves. We're not capable as human beings. But any sort of situation that stands out in your mind where you've experienced Allah's mercy that might be beneficial to share in the comment section, I would love to read that, inshallah. But yeah, everything's good, alhamdulillah. I felt bad when I put out that video yesterday because I put it out in a state of emotion, but alhamdulillah, everything is good, everyone is good, alhamdulillah. And yeah, I'll see you all very soon. Salam. Any mistakes made in this video is a reflection of me and my limitations as a human being, and any good in this video is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, God the Almighty.